and power. I thank the universal truth and the absolute laws of nature for guiding me, protecting me, and giving me the strength to endure the imperfect. I shall attack with vigor, making progressive moves. A divine mind knows, a divine mind shows. All things work in divine order. All things work in divine order. All things work in divine order. Salute, peace and power to the people of the struggle. Peace and power. As you come in, I want you all to feel welcome. I want you all to feel encouraged. I want you to engage in dialogue. I want you to know that you are in a space where you are loved. Please, please, please share the video as you come in. Grow the tribe, subscribe, and also tap that green screen. Tap the green screen. Um, this bill, this dialogue, this exchange and information is always troubling for me, and it is always triggering. Uh, I do hope that we are able to uh, get to a space where we can uh, dialogue about these situations without being over emotional and using our intelligence. All right. Uh, as we know, as many of us know, there's a young, another young black man was murdered at the hands of law enforcement. Um, when we speak, and again, I would like to, always put ourselves in place of the family as they're going through this. So we send our deepest condolences to the family, and we also send them the healing strength of the universe. All right? We want to, make sure that we envelope this family and his young child with as much energy, strength, resilience, and love that we can. All right? We are still in a space where we find ourselves very vulnerable to the institutions, right, that are governing our bodies and make our lives so difficult. So before we get into the gist of this, right, um, I want to explain that I've always known that there is not a call to action, but there needs to be a shift in our mentality and how we move, how we manifest ourselves through the conditions that we find ourselves living under. It's not new. As I always say, the war is not a new war. This is a war that has been waged for almost 2 millennials now against us and our melanated skin and our energy. This young man, Tyree Nichols, was stopped in what they call a routine traffic stop because he was driving erratically. Our bodies in this corporation of North America, named the United States, traveling for us has always been a dangerous, dangerous space. Many of you know I don't travel uh, freely. I mean, I am always anxious on the roads and highways, and I am always anxious when I have friends, clients, associates who are drivers. right, who have to live their life on these roads and highways. You know, I always encourage them to, you know, one, be right and exact on their person, make sure they have everything that they are supposed to have on them, and that they follow, right, the laws to a T, and know the laws as they're going through different uh, states and jurisdictions. You know, that is always an anxious point for me because we have never been allowed to travel freely. That is the main uh, tool used against an oppressed people. As I said, to control their time and their space. When you control time and space, you win a war. You are in absolute control. You dig? Absolute control of an individual or a group. Um, which is why they give so much power to um, excuse me, agencies, police agencies, military, you know, if they are the end all and be all, right, to our movements, there's not much more that anyone has to do, right? I don't care where you work or who you work for, how you work, where you live, how you live. If the confines of where you're at is policed or given authority to how far you can go, how fast you can go, who can go and who can't go, a people are imprisoned. They are imprisoned. So I am well aware of my movements and the movements of my family at any given time. I always encourage them to, you know, be extra militant when they're on these highways, streets, roads, man, even when we're in New York City, which has to be the absolute, you know, loose and lenient when it comes to that. Like we in New York City, within New York City, we have highway officers and highway patrol that really don't bother you as much as they do in other states. Salute to Big Swerm Diggs. Much appreciated. Like, you know, they really do, but they're there. Don't think that they're not. And what a lot of us in the five boroughs don't know, a lot of these little parkways and throughways and expressways are actually state and federal roadways that are right up under those jurisdictions. They just don't tell you. They don't tell you. A lot of us don't know that most of these major concourses and avenues and intersections, there's a different type of charge that you can get when you're on these things. A lot of them are actually commercial ports and throughways and known rest stops and truck stops. We just in the city, so we don't recognize it as such. But if you read the signs and you look them up and you know exactly where you're at, you need to do the knowledge of what's the legalities of anything up in there. So that's just for you to be mindful of it. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. I'm telling you, even right in East New York, Linden Boulevard, intersection of Pennsylvania Avenue, okay? That's just not a regular city street boulevard intersection. It's just not. Make a U-turn in there, see what happened. That's a mean ticket. And then you will see. It's up to the discretion of that officer, or if that officer knows, or if you get caught by somebody else who just happens to be there. Understand? So, the travel for us is always dangerous. We always had to have certain paperwork. We always had to get acknowledgement, and that was always a point of which they used to brutalize us. Do you understand? You was always at the hands of anybody who claimed to be or who was law enforcement, which is wicked. It's a very wicked state to live up under. That just to have it be recognized and tolerated that someone has authority over your body. And that someone isn't the universal truth. That someone isn't God. That is mean. That is something mean. All right? That in itself is a stressful existence to live up under. People don't understand that. That all of the institutions that are around us is stressful. It builds anxiety and anxiousness and everything else, because we know we're connected to the universe, even when you're not woke and conscious. Your body, your makeup knows that it is something wrong, that you're living under these conditions, and it's off. So this young man was stopped. So what they're reporting is he was stopped for driving erratically. Upon being stopped, there was some sort of confrontation, right? And in that confrontation, he was able to take off again. So he takes off again, and when he takes off, he's chased, subsequently caught, and another confrontation happens. And whatever happened there, I mean, we have no film of it yet, though there are reports that it was done up under some sort of device, a recording device, a camera or something. So we'll see if it was on or not. I'm sure much later on we'll have video, but after the second confrontation, he was beaten or in such a distress that he had cardiac arrest and ended up expiring. These cops are black cops. 5 of them. 5 black cops. This brother, Tyree Nichols, right, was 6'4", 150 pounds. So we're talking somebody who, probably was in the same body frame as Snoop, or, as a Wiz Khalifa, or, any of our leaner brothers. And if we were in the sports, you would picture like a Mark Breland, very tall and lanky and slim. So for 5 officers to have to handle him in a manner of which that he ends up losing his life is for me just out. It's beyond comprehension. For one, because when you look at these officers' pictures, which may not be reflective of who they are right now, but these were some heavy set officers, big dudes. And again, when you have a situation where there's one-on-one, which is rare, we know that one cop and one individual fearful of being arrested, that won't happen, right? 2-on-1 is unfair. 3-on-1 is just ludicrous for 3 black men to subdue one young man individual. But I've seen some dudes get busy, right? Especially if they're fearful of what may happen should they not, be able to fight and get it. But 4, I've never seen anybody 4-on-1. Not 4 officers who are also armed and have, tasers and pepper spray and everything at their disposal. I have not seen that. And 5-on-1, I've never seen a brother, or really, I haven't seen anybody come up out of the dust after you have 5 trained officers on you. Nah, that's just not happening. That's just not happening. So 5-on-1, whatever the confrontation was, they're being very cautious not to say a struggle. They're just saying a confrontation. So I want y'all to picture that 5-on-1. What does that look like? We've seen what it looked like in George, right? Floyd's case. It was really just 2-on-1, really just 1-on-1. And the height weight difference was different. In that case, you had, George Floyd, who was a tall, had weight on him. He took him down, and the cop that murdered him, Derek Chauvin, was, a much smaller dude. And he choked him out to where George Floyd lost his life. So now we got 5 black men, black cops, beating on this slender body, right? To the point of which, again, went to cardiac arrest, went to the hospital, plugged up to all type of machinery, and expired. He lost his life. My question is, at what point does any one of those 5 say, yo, all right, enough is enough? Hold on. Chill. 5 officers. Not one of them says, yo, hold on, yo, chill, get up off him, we got him. So you mean to tell me he fought 5 people by himself to the point of which that y'all had to beat him down to death for a parking? Well, not a parking. Let me correct myself. For driving erratically. And the shocking thing for most people who've read the story, who watched it go viral, is that these officers were fired immediately. Immediately. You understand? Nobody's holding them down on it at all. Unlike any other of these police, these alleged police lynchings or murders, where it's a subsequent amount of time. Sometimes we don't hear about it for 6 months. We don't get the video for a year. They put their pictures up, named them, all that. Boom! Here y'all go. And we're not holding you down. They're going to go through this process raw, as if they don't even have a badge. They're going to go through it. They are going to go through it. But herein lies the problem. We always, for years, claimed that black police is what's needed in the communities, in the neighborhoods, to prevent things like this. And I always told you, it doesn't matter who puts on that uniform, because within the institution of policing, there is a mentality, there is a code, there is an understanding that anyone outside of that uniform is a victim, is criminal, does not deserve to be treated as a human, no matter what they want to say after something like this happens, no matter what they may say publicly in order for us not to lose confidence in them. There is an understanding that once you in that uniform, once you take on that lifestyle, that anybody outside of that is at your mercy. It is a belief, it becomes a behavior, and it becomes manifested through their actions. That's plain and simple. So it doesn't matter if you're black, it doesn't matter if you're Latino, it doesn't matter if you're Asian. None of that matters when it comes to law enforcement here in this country, globally, period. When the main objective is to put down, is to harm, that's just it. That's it. That's it. They follow orders. Now, when we keep getting caught up in these little minute, really minute violations of the law, of movement, and you end up losing your life, how does one explain that? How? Because we never, ever see any other group of people, any ethnicity, lose their life because of the most minute of violations or charges or laws. Then it's always us. Either you're innocent in doing and doing nothing, you're running away, you're a youth, right? Or it's a traffic stop. It's disobeying a direct order. It's unruliness. We're the only people who lose our life for the most minute shit. That is a problem. That is a problem. Not debatable. This is an absolute fact. And that is the psychology of where we at and where we have been for centuries in this country. You can lose your life for any police contact, regardless of who's in that uniform. Now, we also, and it's getting ready to go viral, something I caught, there was a young sister, a black woman, Latika Hancock in Ohio, who was brutalized, beat upside the head by 2 white officers. For what? Because she ordered extra cheese on a cheeseburger in McDonald's, didn't get the cheese on it, went back in to complain or to get a sandwich or to get cheese put on it, only for the manager to tell her, get up out of here, or give her some type of excuse to where she had to show the receipt, and he still refused her service in McDonald's. McDonald's now, cheese. So when she left, police were called, and their idea of handling the situation was to bust her upside her head, brutalize her right then and there. So, of course, we're going to see the end result of that. Hopefully, she owns that McDonald's franchise. Because, again, if she has the receipt for the extra cheese, which should be about anywhere between 15 and 30 cents, for life to be threatened, for guns to be drawn on her, for her to be brutally assaulted by police. Yo, this is showing you that we have not grown one iota from Jim Crow era, from civil rights era, from Black Power movement era, from Reaganomics to this new era of woke and consciousness. We are in the exact same positioning because the mentality, the psyche of white supremacy is prevalent. It is still there and will forever be there until we conquer it. And you only conquer it by meeting it exactly where it's at. Again, and I've spoke on it for years. Years. Trust me, if you've been following me for years. I said, we are not in a position to have any police contact at all. Any contact between us and police can end up a deadly contact. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. So for us, as I always say, the teachable moment, the lesson in it is prevention. How do we prevent ourselves from having contact with people who have no other purpose or drive than to kill our black bodies? A traffic stop ends up in a black body being dead. A pack of Skittles, CDs, right? Stopping and letting somebody know that you legally have a permit and a legal firearm in the car ends up in you getting killed. Running away, getting shot in your back in North Charleston, South Carolina. Selling Lucy's in Eric Garner. This is minute. This is not espionage. This is not running into the Capitol. This is not selling government secrets to an enemy state. This is not child trafficking. These are misdemeanors and violations. Tamir Rice was shot playing in a park at 12 years old. Emmett Till murdered a whistle. Yes, or Breonna Taylor sleeping in bed. And our sister in Dallas, Texas, sleeping in bed. Do you understand? We can lose our lives for the most minute infraction, and not an infraction at their superiors. These are their doges. These are their underlings. These are people who only are there because they took a civil service exam. They could be pieces of shit. They could have just been in the streets. They could have been somebody who came up with all type of beliefs in their head. And because they passed the civil service exam, they are giving the authority to kill you for what? Talking back, for asking questions, for running. Come on. When are we going to stop? When are we going to stop? Because they are not going to. It is an unwritten rule for them to have our blood on their hands. So again, our condolences to the family. Our condolences to the family. To the sister Latika Hancock. Stand strong. If you weren't aware of yourself prior, you're aware of yourself right now. Remain militant, sister. Do what you do. And to all of my tribe, be safe out here. Take nothing for granted. Take absolutely nothing for granted. We are at war. And any one of us is a prize. Because any one of us is that Messiah. Any one of us. Salute, peace, and power. All power to the people of the struggle. I love my people. Don't believe in me. Believe in my belief in you. Salute.